ever since then, it's been in the back of my head where it's like, oh man, it's very, very important.
It all
rises sphere temperature,
and it all ties together.
And you take for granted the difference between 70 or 68 and let's say 75. And think 75 is like not a place you want to be.
And think about this: the difference between a plant that's in the ground versus in a raised bed versus in a big pot versus in a small pot.
Yep.
Okay, so you think about all these things, and really a potted situation and those temperature swings.
We're Jug Dealers, we're the podcast you need in your feed, teaching the game like you never seen. Jerin, Gabe, GRAMBO, true OGs, masters of the globe, set your mind free. From Denver, Colorado, where the data's green, we set the data points for the SOPs. Jug Dealers Podcast, yes indeed.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jug Dealers Podcast, where we discuss all things cannabis and lifestyle related, brought to you by the good people at 5-8, and as always, available at jugdealers.net and jugdealers.shop. And what do we got, Jay?
You can also get your samples over there. As everybody knows, I think we're pretty familiar with the routine as well. But I did want to mention, as always, we do have the Jug Club officially open. It is just 100 exclusive spots. So get yours if there are still any available. Also, we have a bookings page. Yes, he's showing our very nice all-access Jug Dealers.
They did a great job. I'm proud of them.
Thank you. Thank you. You can go to the bookings page as well, figure out where we're at. I think right now the only thing we've got on there is MJ BizCon. But as things come up, we will post those. You can direct message us through those links, and you could also request our presence as well.
And I would assume we could maybe put it up there that you'll probably be in Florida in January.
Oh yeah. Well,
we're at that time of year. It's actually
to start talking
about it. You will.
In fact, I'll definitely be spending more some more time. I usually like to go south for the winter. You're here in Colorado. I try and stay out of the northern
guys are family.
Climate.
Shout out to
Urban Roots, as always, the fam down there. So we do have a great episode today. Oh, I guess one thing I did want to mention, don't forget about our giveaways we're doing on jugdealers.shop. All you got to do is actually just buy one item and you get automatically entered. We're giving away a bunch of cool stuff. You will see some unreleased gear through there as well. Maybe even at times we'll start doing merchandise. I mean, we're going to keep it spicy, right?
He's got the shirts.
That'll be good.
We're going to keep it spicy.
I'll just send you guys out some shirts as well.
So all right. But I think this week was Winter Frost, but we do the announcements every single week, so check that out. And then also make sure and sign up for our subscribers list. That's going to get you monthly discounts. There it is right there, our VIP growers list.
Jugdealers.net, scroll down a little bit. I might make a VIP growers tab. We'll see.
We'll see. You never know. Keep your eyes peeled. Also, when you go into jugdealers.shop, we are starting to throw out some exclusive deals through there. I know 50% off on Playground right now. Go ahead and snap that up. Without further ado, let's talk about what we're talking about today.
You're not going to get free this from us. That's for sure.
No. Today's topic is hypochlorous acid. Okay. And that's one of them. Another, we've kind of been hitting some maybe slightly hot button type items here, right? Some people really swear by it. They say it's the safest sanitizer in the market. Other people are like, hey, it's killing all your biology. Don't use it with these products. You know what I mean? So you really kind of have a divided line, but it's become very, very, very popular. Specifically in commercial production.
Well, and I think
with our stuff.
And I think for us, one of the reasons we really started talking about putting this episode together was we have things like the Fulvic, we have stuff
that are actually specifically antagonistic even to it.
And so we started getting questions from people about, hey, can I use this with this? And it's so
well, the question
honestly,
is
this episode, the genesis of this episode was actually kind of addressing some of that.
Well, and I think the big question is, and people's biggest question is, does it just kill the bad stuff? Well, that's a pretty amazing specificity, isn't it? That's a pretty smart hypochlorous acid. I personally believe that biology is biology, and if it's attacking any biology, it's attacking all biology.
And full disclosure on my side, I think if you've watched this show any amount of time, Jay and I are both on the same page when we're like, hey, we don't really live by it. And I'll be honest with you, putting this episode together made us dig in a little bit more, so that we really are.
Well,
everybody's informed as to why. Well,
that's the thing. I mean, informing ourselves is obviously part of the whole deal. And the reality is I can't say that my opinion is different, but what I will say is I do think that, like anything else, there's appropriate times to do things. You know what I mean? Do I think appropriate cleaning between runs and things like that? Do I think that there's definitely ways to combat the issues that are happening, combat things like biofilms. I mean, I had a guy today too that I was literally, talking about with autopots and having some biofilms with other products build up. And then that's obviously going to affect his flow valves and everything else. And it's like, how do you deal with that? I mean, this is going to be an issue that's always going to happen. And the unfortunate thing is, that's where a lot of the magic happens.
Yep.
Biofilms is where that's a big bacteria party. That's a bacteria rave. Like they're, you know what I mean? They are loving.
Can you put a visual to that, GRAMBO?
No, but just picture it in your head.
So anyhow, that's but on the practicality, it's like the things we like to say, right? There's ideal and then there's real. Ideal is having all the biology in the world and it's great and everything else. But real is, man, that stuff clogs up my pipes and makes, cleaning really difficult and clogs up my pumps.
That's why we developed the
ideal and real, right?
And that's why we developed the Scietetics line. That's why Neil and those guys developed the Scietetics line, because we heard y'all when it came to New Millennium. Trust me, I was a New Millennium user for years. I still am, but Scietetics is geared for that, people who are looking for a cleaner, more irrigation friendly.
Yeah. And definitely that for commercial, that much more repeatable. That even usage numbers and everything like that. So
if that stuff's they can get that through Jug Dealers.
Yeah, they can get that through Jug Dealers.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You can also just, I guess, a quick shout out too. I didn't mention, we got a bunch of new merch up there too, and that's going to keep coming. Basically anything you see here. I know we're going to get
some of the NewMill merch.
Support your Jug Dealer on the wear. Yeah,
they can get a NewMill shirt up there now. They can get the Jug Dealer shirt up there now.
I think we might take the Equinox Circle, maybe do some cutouts or some line stuff. I know GRAMBO's going to be playing with some stuff.
GRAMBO, is there a survey we can put up when they ask people what they want?
Yeah, we got the community tab.
Okay.
If you guys go to
tell us what you want.
The channel shirt.
We could do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, we can do stuff, because I know there's a guy that I talk to very regularly that he was particularly interested in seeing some of the New Millennium art out there. He's like, dude, you guys got fantastic art. Like you could pull certain pieces out of or whatever. But anyway, I don't want to get too stuck on that. But check out the merch out there. It's flying.
They do have the ruby. I put that
on everything.
Oh, that's coming.
We got the.
That's there.
Well, we have the one. We have version.
We're going sideways.
Yeah, we are. And version 1 is up there. Version 1 is up there.
So let's get into the science of hypochlorous acid, what it is, the chemical formula, really what's kind of going on. The chemical formula, as we say, is HOCl. So it's basically
hydrogen, oxygen, and chlorine. Pretty
straightforward. It's strongly pH dependent. So at lower pHs, that's when it's going to be most active. When at higher pHs, that's actually when it's weakest. I actually didn't know that.
Well, and that's again, going back to pH, like our pH episode.
It's
not
funny.
Just nutrients.
Yeah,
as
soon as that all you put it together and you're like, oh yeah, potential hydrogen. Wow. Yeah, okay. Well, higher pH means less potential hydrogen. Okay.
And one thing I'd like to mention too, how does it form? Well, it forms when chlorine gas dissolves in water. So obviously,
they have those machines where you can make them.
Yeah, you got to basically slam the stuff together. But then you obviously got this Cl minus, which is very volatile, and that's why really like these cleaning things, they're all about having that volatile. A lot of times oxygen.
It bonds and yeah.
Again, we're not chemists, guys. All this stuff, we're just whatever.
We've discussed it before. We're really only playing with the same 17 plus a couple.
Well, it's like there's only 3 chords in bluegrass, man.
That's what I love. It's what I love about you, Jayhawk. It is. It really is.
So generation methods does include the electrolysis of salt water, which I thought was pretty darn cool, right? So you got that NaCl, because you got to be able to get that H, the O, and the Cl. Where do they get it? Well, they get it from NaCl and water, plus a little bit of a shot of electricity. And looky here, you get HOCl. Also, you can get on-site generators to produce dilute HOCl solutions. And I think a lot of people commercially are probably doing that. You can obviously get it in bottle form from some unnamed sources. I'm not going to help you find it.
That was good.
Obviously, these commercial stabilized ones, they're marketed as safe and green sanitizers. I mean, take that for what you will. I mean, I don't know. I think green can be a somewhat bastardized term and used for a lot of different stuff. So anyway, but let's talk about the oxidizing mechanism and what it's actually doing.
It actually is penetrating the microbial membranes easily, at neutral charge, small molecule, gets right in there. It oxidizes sulfur hydryl groups, amino acids, and nucleotides.
Wow.
So basically, like you said, it just bonds with them and just strips them.
And
right
does things like denatures proteins, which is going to change that structure, right? So you have the primary, secondary, tertiary structure, I believe. And maybe there's even a fourth.
And it damages the DNA.
Yeah. And that's part of it because proteins, aminos, that's also building blocks for DNA, all these kind of things. Go figure, it all kind of goes
you
together.
You do see rapid microbial death, in which I get that,
Oh, you do?
Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by JugDealers.shop. You want to grow the best cannabis possible? Head over to JugDealers.shop and get something like our Ruby Fulvic. It's going to give you more efficient uptake on your NPK. You could also try our Winter Frost to increase secondary metabolite uptake and improve your cultivar's flavor and phenotypic expression. Or finally, grab some cocoa blocks to save time and money. This is how you can support the show, and it keeps us going. We're never sponsored. We're 100% funded by you taking your garden to the next level. Head over to jugdealers.shop and get something to help your cultivation thrive. Now, back to the show. That, you do. Jerin's in my argument is always that you have so much positive microbial activity down there that there's really no room for anything else.
Especially if you culture that, right? Because even with pH, we talked about that. Having a good pH in your substrate to culture proper microbial situations, having the right temperatures, and then also giving them a shot of good, healthy bacteria so that you
Thanks for reminding the temperatures.
Yeah.
It's right. So, because it slipped by me that one episode.
Right.
And it's just like, ever since then, it's been in the back of my head where it's like, oh man, it's very, very important.
It all
rises sphere temperature.
And it all ties together.
And you take for granted the difference between 70 or 68 and let's say 75.
And think
75 is like not a place you want to be.
And think
at.
about this, the difference between a plant that's in the ground versus in a raised bed versus in a big pot versus in a small pot.
Yep.
Okay. So you think about all these things, and really a potted situation and those temperature swings, a plant's not that used to that. And that's not, evolutionarily speaking, you don't have those temperature swings like that when you're in the ground.
Well, and the reason we're discussing it is because we're trying to show you, hey, if you put all the right building blocks in place, you shouldn't need hypochlorous acid, and
right.
That's really
and I look exactly.
Yeah.
And I look at, okay, what is one of the ways to do that? By making sure that you have healthy bacterial situations, that healthy microbial situation. How do you do that? Make sure to add good, healthy, proper bacteria, aerobic bacteria at the right time.
I like recharge with carbonaria, that stuff. I mean, it works.
Great White's been the homies forever. I mean, I've used Mammoth forever. I don't even think it's really product. Any of these things that are good aerobic bacteria.
Yeah.
I mean, even
the only reason I shout out those guys are the homies.
Shout out to Dude Grows, Recharge.
If you're using any of that stuff, you're ahead of the game.
And here's the deal. I always say, man, it's kind of crazy, right? Because like when you first mix up a full New Millennium, in fact, a full Secret Sauce reservoir, and I'll do a 55-gallon tank, full tank, and it smells like a damn swamp donkey for 2 days. No, it's like, ooh. And I always love it because Adam
it's
Dunn,
aggressive.
He loves that nasty smell.
Oh yeah.
And but what's happening is there's a war being waged in there. There's all kinds of things going on, and I've always got a pump going there, so I'm getting some good oxygenation. Everything's going on, but then after about day 3 or 4, you open that tank and it smells like soil. Well, what is the smell of soil?
Yeah.
Healthy aerobic bacteria. That is what you're smelling. You're smelling the bacteria. So once I smell that, I really, really know I've got a healthy proliferation of healthy bacteria. If that smell were to persist through the week or something like that, I would look at it and go, hey, I might have a problem here. Maybe I need to dump a tank, something like that.
Well, and I think, and it kind of, it'll kind of head into our next segment. But I think, there's a place for everything,
right.
And the reality is, I think something you guys taught me very early on is dirt ain't clear, so like we've been trained to have this whole thing where we're pumping clear, easy to clean out of our lines, nutrients through.
That's a human need. That's not a plant.
The reality is like, if you do it right and you're not running, let's say you're running it through a batch tank, we have a friend that we've been recommending,
right,
where he's got the dosers doing the bases, we'll have them added to the batch tanks, runs right through the system. And then you run some fresh water through the system after you're done, rinse it all out.
Sure.
At the end of the system, That's where we talk about
And-
maybe running a hypochlorous
And you know what?
through
And
the
I'll be
lines
honest.
and
And
stuff
I don't.
like
I'm
that.
not going to throw a complete spoiler, but we will be bringing on somebody that I actually do consider to be an expert, specifically in the use of hypochlorous acid with the base nutrient program, and somebody that I actually, and you do as well, want to ourselves quiz up a little bit more on this
100%.
too, because he also believes accordingly to
Yeah.
where we do about
Yeah.
biology too. So it's like, how do we do both? Because really these are human problems. This dirty pipes, this shit. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I mean, it just is. It's not a plant problem.
Plant janitors,
You're
son.
right, that's
Plant
it. Clean
janitors.
the damn pump. You know what I mean? Like, clean the damn pump.
That's why he always says plant janitors.
Right, because
it's
that's-
really just us keeping stuff clean.
That's
and if you have,
yeah.
honestly, like I just said at that thing, if you got to run an extra 50 gallons through the line at the end of running some type
Sure.
of some type of biology through
Yeah.
your lines, then that's the price you got to pay. We're not hurting anybody. It gets recycled.
Well, right. And again, I think if you've got a proper balance of, EC in your substrate by, maybe taking a watering off or a day off, or maybe once a week, you're just doing plain water, you know what I mean? As a pipe cleaner.
Biology
else,
is, look, biology is flavor. We can tell you through the numbers just from what we've seen through the show. People are coming. They want more flavor. They want a change. And what we're talking about is really.
Well, we all have everybody. There's not a nutrient company out there that's not going to give you the 17 plant essential, which, by the way, we know it's more than that, but I'm not going to go into that argument because
plant
whatever.
beneficial.
You're right. Well, but to be ignorant enough to say that there's nothing out there that's plant beneficial, it's like they all are going to give you that 17. Nobody wants you to be not successful, but for us, it's about what are the expressions, what are the other things you can be added to really let this plant do its thing, which is again part of the plant janitor thing. We don't grow it. We're just trying to give it this environment and this place and this ability to do its thing.
Let's talk to folks about where they can use it, where we're actually like, hey, this is a good spot to use it.
Well,
this
and
is not a bad place.
But for me, obviously, between runs, if I was going to do something like that, that's obviously great.
Trays, benches, surfaces.
And I will say the fact that it's stronger than bleach, but bleach is obviously chlorine based as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting part of it is so volatile. The good thing about it does break down very, very fast.
See, y'all didn't think we were going to talk nice about it, did you?
Here's the thing. It definitely has a place. And what I will say is one of the big advantages is the fact that it breaks down so fast. It's going to find any organic matter. It's going to find any of the stuff that it can grab and neutralize it right away. So it doesn't sit around for a long time. And that's also why people can actually get away. I'm assuming, again, I truly never actually used it alongside plants, but I'm assuming that this super fast breakdown and its ability to go after everything right away is what, so it neutralizes itself rather quickly, which is one of the reasons I assume. And it also oxygenates the water at the same time because it's putting out those O's. And again, that's one of the things with our undisclosed guest that I know specifically is one of the reasons he uses it is for the oxygenation of his water. So, I mean, again, it's
funny. I heard that and I was thinking to myself, I do like the oxygen generators too.
Yep. So hey, these are things.
I do see some people using it for foliars, especially against PM, botrytis, fusarium, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
It's claimed to be pretty residual free.
Well, because there's really nothing.
So like in that respect, totally.
It becomes that basically it's hydrogen, oxygen, and chlorine. You know what I mean? And they're all volatile. Just kind of disappear. So
I'm not.
It has its place.
I'm not gonna say there's not. And what I would say, Jay and I have talked about it. There may be a situation where you need some type of root zone cleansing if you have some issues.
Absolutely.
In which we would say inject it at a ppm level, get it so you get things nice and clean and then just re-inoculate.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe run it once a week. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then re-inoculate.
You can't, the big thing is, and this is a big point. This is actually one thing we get a lot of phone calls about, a lot of emails about. This is a big tip for you guys.
Hey, everybody. Just a reminder, we do a weekly giveaway through jugdealers.shop. Buy anything on the website and you are automatically entered to win. This week, our winner is Taylor T from Montana, and they are the recipient of 125 mil Rhizium. Again, the only way to win is just buy something on the shop, and you will be automatically entered. Congrats again to Taylor T from Montana. Now back to the show.
About a lot of emails about this is a big tip for you guys. Do not run the Fulvic I can't
Oh,
speak.
thank you.
I cannot speak to anybody else's Fulvic, but I can say if you're running the Ruby, if you're running the Fulvitech, just don't run it in the same line with the hypochlorous.
That's all. What we usually
all I
have
would
people
say.
do is you're running the hypochlorous and we'll have you just hand water it in on top once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Whether that's turn off your drip lines and then for just that one water, dump it in. The reality is what it does, it's not going to kill anything. It just completely neutralizes each other. So because it's going right after there's organic acids in the Fulvic, so it's going to basically take everything that's active about the Fulvic and those natural chelation properties and everything else and all the bacteria that's in there and kill it all immediately.
Yeah.
But then also in the same token, the hypochlorous acid that was there that you really wanted to be cleaning up your roots and clean it. Well, it's already used up basically because it's so volatile, because it breaks down so fast. So I would
definitely encourage you to not, we talked about it in the flush episode, but I would encourage you last couple of weeks, just run like a Ruby and a Fulvic or a Ruby Fulvic and a Winter Frost or something like that. Don't just stop with the hypochlorous. If you're using it, just maybe cut it off a little bit earlier and try some other stuff to at least get some biology, because the biology that's the flavor, man.
Well, and I know, the guy we're talking about, I almost have said his name like 4 times. Definitely at the end, runs fade for a bit, then brings in, winter, doesn't bring in the Ruby in that situation.
Yeah.
That's because of, again, clean. And again, like I said, there's ideal and there's real. Like I get needing clean lines. I also get trying to take a facility and run a facility with the minimum amount of labor and things.
I
like
run a little bit
lines
bigger.
is a labor aspect. And I think these days too, when you talk about unit prices going so far down, before it was, doing all hand trimming.
Back up, bro.
I know it is, but I'm doing all hand watering because I can, and that made sense. A lot of that has gone away. So now all of a sudden you got to have one guy per 100 lights or some shit.
Right.
Anyway.
So let's
I
talk,
digress.
Let's talk about let's.
Do you want to mention the post-harvest at all?
So
this is something that, and I think we see a lot more in outdoor. I'm gonna be real honest. I've done it. I've done it with H2O2.
Yeah, with H2O2.
Similar kind of thing, and that's hydrogen and oxygen.
I was surprised. Same thing, like you said, with outdoor harvest. I mean, the thing people need to realize.
We're talking about bud washing, folks.
Yeah,
that way,
and look, the thing people need to realize is let's just say there's no powdery mildew, everything's good, whatever. Just even in an environment like ours, it's just dusty.
Yeah,
it's just dusty. You know what I mean?
Man, we're in high desert.
You're going to be using it to be sanitizing your dry cure rooms. You want to remember to do that every time. You're going to sanitize your HVAC coils. Same thing, man. Like if you had a problem around before and you don't do all that stuff, it'll just transfer.
Well, and that's part of those, those good practices, right?
GMP.
These GMP practices, and that is borrowed from really, the food safety playbook, and that's poultry, that's all kinds of produce, and these are things that are going to be very volatile and break down very, very fast, but attack the things that could be, the pathogens that would be problematic.
It's funny how just terminology in this world, that there's a distinct difference between bud washing and washing bud. You say washing bud, I think hash. You say bud washing, I think you're dunking.
It's true.
Right.
That's weird. Yeah. Well, didn't we do a episode? Maybe it was on Dude Grows that we did an episode on bro science. I think it was actually on Dude Grows.
What's coming up now? Ho science. The girls are getting mad. They're like, don't hog all the BS information, bros.
We're deep enough. We might not get age gated, but we might get age.
Shout out to Sunny and Becktopia.
22-minute mark. We might have to go back.
22 minutes. Okay.
So what are some of the problems with
we started nice. We started nice.
Well,
I bring them in.
Time for the hammer.
Then,
okay. We already alluded, or actually didn't even tell
friggin' kills everything.
We didn't allude to it at all.
Nuclear bomb.
It's non-selective killing. It just kills everything. So beneficial microbes, it's going to be trichoderma, it's going to be bacillus, mycorrhiza, pseudomonas, everything, all that stuff wiped out.
Bang.
So it literally destroys the very microbiome that cultivators work.
We have whole episodes just on the rhizosphere.
Right? We're trying to work the rhizosheath, the rhizosphere, the substrate, all these things, these bigger moving down to smaller, and really what's going on in there. And then you just go and kill it all.
What, living soil?
Toast. I mean, what's the point? Yeah.
Dunzo for sure.
So obviously you're living soil, sterilized soil. Nobody says I run in sterilized soil. I haven't heard that one before.
So we had the
I'm going to start telling people that as a joke. I run sterilized soil.
We had we had the whole episode on flushing, and we were, pretty keen to, it's not a consumable like lettuce or strawberries.
It doesn't have that surface area. It doesn't have a washable surface area.
Yeah, it's not and it's just not eaten.
And again, remember guys,
what is
oil
eaten
farmers
sometimes.
Well, right, but it's still the
even
oil.
then the oil.
It's still oil, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Still oil.
The oil is what matters. You're keen to point that out.
And at the end of the day, growers are looking for, they need general plant health. They need general plant vigor. We don't need sterile leaves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like, that's not something that we're, needing. And then again, like we just said too,
short-lived activity,
short-lived.
bro.
It's boom, boom,
it
which is
doesn't
good.
last that
it's
long.
funny because that's a positive.
Yeah. It's
and
a positive. It's doing its job quickly, but the reality is it's done when it's done.
And I mean, literally within a couple of minutes to sometimes hours, which I don't know exactly what. Well, I think what we look pH has a lot to do with it, which how long it's as I.
That's why we always talk about Zerotol too, because those guys, the guys at BioSafe, those guys are the homies. We did a nice episode with Zach,
right?
But that stuff actually has an efficacy, I believe, of 48 hours from mix because of that peroxyacetic acid.
Right. And here's the big difference too. When you have that instability and is like, is it still working? Is it not working? Well, that's going to lead to over application, obviously, which if you're selling the shit, that's great. Right. So
when does it make sense to use?
Well, I mean, personally, I use it for sanitation between runs, for just like we said, for tables, for walls, for all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Here's it. The fact of the matter is, where is that line between bro science and reality, which we always kind of talk about a bit, right?
Good point.
And so, the typical claim from just any old grower is, oh man, it's safe. It's natural.
It seems like another product for people to just sell.
Well, here's the thing.
It's always been, I guess it's not interesting to me that it's not in a repertoire because it just doesn't fit. It's not the right thing.
Right.
And I know we've had a couple cleaning products over the years that are way different in the way they act, the way they react.
Well, and this is completely non-selective. And I think that's the biggest real part of it, right?
Yeah.
So you go, okay, it's safe and it won't hurt my plants. Fair. But that's not the full statement, because the full statement is it won't hurt my plants, but it's going to fry my rhizosphere.
It's not helping them.
Well, but it's going to fry my rhizosphere, which is what's feeding my plant, right? So no, it's not going to directly fry the plant, but it's like it fries it on the back end almost, right? So it's like, well, it's safe in a way, but it's completely non-selective. So to me, it's like, yeah, that's kind of right, but it's not the full story.
So you're saying short doses. You're saying maybe some regular foliar sprays. You're saying if you're in living soil, just
don't even look at it.
And which I think, not for nothing, man. I think most of the living soil guys know that.
Dab.
Dab.
Not for nothing.
There's a couple comments about the dab game, so everyone get in on it.
Is that the first one we've had? Oh man,
today.
Maybe I missed it.
Wow.
Okay, now you're usually pretty on top.
25 minutes in the first.
Yeah, usually pretty.
I'm just kind of craving a dab, so I was like, ooh.
Let's talk about some of the other oxidizers that are out there. One of my favorites, the chlorine dioxide gas. I actually discovered that during COVID. I'll be honest with you. For the consulting that I do, when I recommend people on rooms, instead of putting in all this big fancy gear and all the rest of the stuff, and I think a lot of people overlook it. There's a lot of people who use chlorine dioxide gas around the grow. They use it in the flower rooms and the veg rooms and all that stuff. There's a slow release and then there's a fast release for between rooms. But I think a lot of people don't use it in their dry cure while they're dry curing. And the reality is it is killing any of the stuff that's floating around in there, and it's not affecting the terpenes or anything like that. So it is safe to use. I got that tip from Phenotype Farmers.
Well, and it is, again, it's a gas, so it's essentially it's active, right?
And it's filling all the nooks and crannies.
Yes,
I think that's something that people have to understand is, even when you spray down a room, you missed a corner. I don't care how good your best guy is. He missed something. And
it's more stable, and it also can be dosed very precisely.
Yep,
Why? Because it's all based on square footage. Super easy to go, oh, this is the size. Boom, right?
And the second one, we just talked about this with BioSafe, hydrogen peroxide.
H2O2,
now
baby.
Look, Zerotol is for plants. Sanidate is for surfaces. They have a bunch of other products. Reach out to Zach at BioSafe. He is by far one of the smartest, most awesome. And again, we have an episode with him. Absolutely brilliant kid. Limited use, a little bit of ozone. Again, there's some UV you can use and stuff like that. But yeah, No. What do we talk about promoting? Because this is your side, Jay.
Oh yeah, this is my side. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. I think it really depends on your situation as far as where you apply some of this stuff. And I do believe in certain scenarios with the, re-inoculation approach, if you will. And obviously promoting the things like trichoderma, bacillus, these mycorrhizas, pseudomonas, things like that, but I also think that everybody, I didn't want to interrupt the show. However, we need you to help us by elevating your grow. Go on over to jugdealers.shop. Don't let improper propagation methods mess up your grow. Get Easy Plug root cubes at jugdealers.shop. Easy Plugs are a proprietary blend that are compatible with all media and are guaranteed pest-free, and they also are shipped dry, meaning no mold issues either. This is how we support the show. We're never sponsored. We're funded by you taking your grow to the next level. So to support us and your grow, head on over to jugdealers.shop and get yourself something. Now back to the show. Pseudomonas, things like that, but I also think that, I think it's also problematic when you're totally restripping and rebuilding and stripping and rebuilding.
No, agreed.
So
agreed.
I don't think that's the best. Do I think that that's a happy medium between the two? I do, but I don't think it's the best approach.
It's why I enjoyed the episode about the rhizo sheath.
The rhizo sheath.
Much. And just the fact that here, you're always talking about from Liebig to now.
Right.
So we're talking not even 200 years of really knowing that much about the plants. And truth of the matter is, the reason the plant janitor shirt exists is because you always joke and you go, bro, there's still so much we don't know.
We don't know. Anything.
Rhizo sheath, what, 2019?
Yeah, to that term. Which the rhizosphere is a very small part of the total substrate, which the rhizosphere
that
is
little
even
slimy,
smaller.
in which that's the whole thing is I think that's the thing that I'm really trying to pound into people's head here is that when you're thinking about hypochlorous and then you see this little slimy layer right along the roots, you're thinking to yourself, oh man, that's gross. That's fucking up my plants and all the rest of that stuff. And meanwhile, when we wrote that episode and you put a lot of time and effort into that, pointing that out where you were like, no man, this is where all the real shit is happening.
This is going down. Well, and
how big is that layer? A couple millimeters?
Yeah, I mean it's like nothing. It's less than a human hair or something like that. It's crazy, but that's literally where all the magic is.
That's the big takeaway from all this to there is that.
Well, and my big thing is always I like fighting life with life rather than just trying to go, because I don't believe in clean growing. I don't believe evolutionarily speaking that because plants didn't evolve in some singular way without all these other single cell organisms. All that stuff was happening together, and the reality is it was that building blocks of life that, and then having terrestrial life, which is plants, which then meant you could actually have, heterotrophs like us, because they're autotrophs. We got to go eat those things.
It's funny because that's where I think about that whole VPD, where, you and I talk about there should be one that's just not only developed just for cannabis, but for the different genetics. But the whole idea is that the plant is I am so healthy that nothing can mess me up,
well, that's one of the things that I really realized. And one of the reasons I even went into to organic food production was chemistry has never been something that I've been super into. So I was like, man, I didn't even want to get into all the organic chemistry of all these, all these pesticides and everything else. Plus it was just I just thought that's not the way. Right. And you realize really quickly that it truly is about raising a plant that can take care of itself. It's not about putting all these safeguards around it or ready to spray all the time and saying, how can I provide it with the building blocks? How can I provide a plant that has the right amount of vigor, planting it at the right time with the right soil temperatures so that it has that chance to outcompete, then going in and weeding at the right time or whatever it is, those key things to make it just take care of itself. And that was definitely an aha moment that I totally segued right into cannabis production as well, right? It's man, you're a hell of a lot better off than just, raising really healthy plants that can take care of themselves.
Well, and I think that's a good thing for the show because I think your science background, going to school at CSU.
Shout out Rams.
Shout out Rams. Really gave you that background to where for the listeners and for myself, it makes it where you can break it down to a way where it's oh man, it makes sense.
Well, and for me, it's a bit of a critical thinking too. I always go back to that and go, well, does that make sense? In a history study, does that make sense evolutionarily speaking? Whether it's some of these bro science things, I always try and just step it back and go, can I make it make sense on any level? right? And if I can't, I go, I don't know, not necessarily. And I'm not saying it's over, but I'm saying I'm not buying into it yet. And again, part of that is because, literally half the shit that we know about plants is really just guesses anyway.
We're still figuring it out.
This is one actually we wanted to put a couple questions at the end.
Q&A.
Yeah, because I felt like this is one where we just get a lot of questions about it, right?
Yeah,
so why don't
I was to say
I'll start off. I'll read it. All right. So question number 1, and again, we kind of fished through and got some ones that are specific to this because we do get a lot of questions about it. So if hypochlorous acid is safe enough to drink, why not spray it every week? What do you think,
basically,
Gabe?
because it's really just not safe for the microbes. Weekly hypochlorous acid wipes out the beneficial biology. So long-term vulnerability to pathogens, you just don't,
See, and that's what I always worry about too, right? When you strip that away, you have that period where you're literally stripping its armor all the time. Armor gone. Okay, now build it back up. Armor gone. Okay, now build it back up.
How I got
it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Even when I got COVID, I was in the middle of that 1,000-day stand. I was just so healthy. Then that was the whole thing going into COVID is I was just like, man, I'm going to be so healthy that if I get it, dude, if it affected you, I'm not trying to say, please, please, no comments. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's just one of those things where I feel like if you're healthy, you fight off disease a lot better. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've been sick in 4 years. So,
well, again, we talk a lot about just fire in, fire out, right? And quality in, quality out. And really that's, in food, that's in, that's in plant production, that's in cannabis, that really kind of, is an overarching, concept that doesn't just, lie within our plant production. So anyway, question 2.
Can I balance hypochlorous acid use in a living soil program? Simple answer.
Simple answer. No. Man, and here's the reality. Not in the root zone, man. It just reacts too instantly with organics, like we talk about. It breaks down too fast. It's too volatile. Only use it out the side of the soil. Universe sanitizing, domes, lines, things like that. But keep that soil untouched. If it's really soil, and when I say it's soil, right, it's not dirt because dirt's inert, folks. Don't forget that.
Dirt.
It's soil.
Dirt. Where's the shirt? Dirt's inert.
I don't hate it. Leave a comment. Do you want a Dirt's inert shirt?
So this is something I've said for a long time. Dirt's inert and soil is alive. And that's how I really like to say soil.
You're so right there, man. Wow. Dirt is inert. Hello. Look, man, hypochlorous has its place.
It does.
As a reset, as a sanitizer. But for me, it's just not part of the cultivation input. It kills more than it helps, and I'd rather build a living system than sterilize it. But like I said, it's got its place.
But like I said, we're literally going to bring also somebody in because we're not scared for another opinion. We are going to bring somebody in there that I'm telling you right now does use our products and uses a sterile system, and in fact is one of the systems that's really been promoted as a sterile system. I think you guys can probably read between the lines. And I am I'm also curious to see how he deals with some of these same questions, right? And we will tailor that to you guys as well. So anyway, guys, that's a take. Hypochlorous acid, it's a tool. It ain't a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Don't get on that. Don't get on that gang shit,
don't buy into the hype, bro. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Don't buy into the hype.
And I think too many times people do use it as a crutch, and they use it as a crutch to be able to overfeed. And again, this isn't a knock. I actually think you could use it as a crutch, or you could say they use it as a tool to overwater. So if they are overwatering, they're doing a lot of waterings, they're doing multiples a day. It's a tool, man. I mean, I can't sit here and say that it isn't.
Don't kill the biology.
But
man.
I prefer good environment, good IPM, just good biology. Fight fire with fire, fight life with life. That's just me. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Jug Dealers. This has been a great one. We've had a good couple episodes here. Thank you guys so much for the support.
Write in the comments anything you want. You got questions? Like if you think it's episode worthy, by all means, fire something in the comments, dude. We'll do because we got all kinds of ideas coming out of the pipe.
And we got a lot of new guests that are going to be coming in too. So if you guys also have any guest ideas, things like that, we do want to hear from you. We are going to be listening to our Jug Club members as well, very, very acutely, because we do believe that our tribe members are the people that are really driving this ship. So we appreciate all of you guys. Again, if there's any memberships still available, there is only 100 that we've opened up. If they're still available, grab them up while they're still there. You can see it'll be signed with the number, Juggernaut number. You'll get an exclusive pin, all kinds of fun stuff. So until next time, guys, from the Jug Den, peace out.